Welcome to Carrickfergus Vineyard, a place of hope where lives are changing. We're a church in the heart of Carrickfergus, passionate about seeing people's lives changed by the love of Jesus. The following message was given at one of our Sunday services.
2002. I've been living here in Northern Ireland for 1 year. We've been married 2 years. This is pre-children. Chantel and I lead a team to Brazil with the charity Tear Fund. And we were there for 4 weeks, and we had to get 3 flights. I think we went Dublin or Belfast to London, and then across to Chicago, and then on to Sao Paulo. Now, whenever we landed in Chicago, we just so happened to land at about the same time as 4 other massive planes. And if you know anything about air travel, Chicago is one of the busiest airports, I believe, in the world. And like literally, we got off the plane in that moment when you're just like trying to go through immigration, which if ever you've been to America, they're incredibly friendly. And they welcome us, especially at the moment, with loving and welcome open arms. And anyway, so we're in this queue, and I'm like, look, it's like this massive space, and it's filled with hundreds of people. And we've got like just over an hour to get the next plane. And I'm thinking, we have not a mission of getting on that plane. No chance, no chance. There's just hundreds of us. And there's 12 of us on the team, and we're the team leaders. And I'm beginning to think, oh, flipping heck, the responsibility head kind of kicks in, and I'm like, I feel really responsible for everyone. We've got to get there, we've got to get there. I'm like, there's no chance. Until this man, out of nowhere, comes, and he can see that we're a group, and he begins to help us. He works for the airline, and bumps us up the queue. He brings us through immigration and all the way through to the carousel. We actually had to get our bags, I think, and then recheck them in to get on this other plane for some reason. They didn't go all the way through. And he's literally come to us to this carousel. He's literally lifting bags off it for us. And I'm thinking, who is this man? Is he an angel? He wasn't. Don't get too excited. The story's not that good. But he obviously helped. We got all the bags, and then he pointed us in the right direction. He says, you've got to go up there and over there, over there. We had to change terminals. And well, you literally were recovering. You'd broken your leg, and she's literally still on crutches with a leg like this. And it was like one of those Forrest Gump moments. You ever seen the movie? It's like suddenly the crutches went, and she was running to get the plane. That's not even in the story. Stick to the notes. Stick to the notes. Where am I going? What psalm are we doing today? What psalm are we covering today? It's meant to be 42, isn't it? In the reading plan. But we're already going off piste. Oh, yes. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. This man led us. He provided for us. If he could have fed and watered us, he would have done so. Tenuous link, I know, but it's slightly got us entertained. Here we go. We are into Psalm 23. It probably is the best known, best loved maybe. Maybe you've got another favorite psalm or whatever. But these all familiar words we're going to read through together as we join in. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy, or love, as they've changed it, will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This all too familiar psalm, which is quoted, printed and framed and hung on our walls, recited, Sunday schooled the living daylights out of, preached the living daylights out of, and read at funerals, has so much to say. And it's my joy to teach on it again. And we'll get there. We'll get there with some thoughts and some insights how it might speak to us, how it might lead us, how it might instruct us, how it might teach us. But remember that the Psalms weren't just pieces of literacy. They're not just full of information, insight, lots of metaphor, instruction. They were written to be read. They were written to be prayed. They were written that we would sing them, and that they were written that God would speak to our very souls through them. Last week, we gave out to you this reading plan. And if you weren't here last week and you missed it, we've got a few copies. We'd love you to take one with you. And on there, you'll find all the ones that are highlighted in bold. They're the ones that we're going to be teaching on. But all the other ones which are listed there, they're for you to be reading at home in your own time. And it encourages you to read 2 or 3 Psalms per day. And over the 10 weeks that we're going to be teaching this series, Living Well, searching through, teaching through the Psalms, you'll have read and covered all 150 Psalms, which to the goal-orientated people amongst us is a really, really good thing. And even if it's not just the goal, it's inviting God to speak to us through his living word. And so I'm going to read this psalm again, slowly, prayerfully. It might help for you to close your eyes if you wish to. It might help you better to read along with me. But as we read it slowly this time, I invite the Holy Spirit to illuminate to you, to speak to you personally through his word, what he might have to say to you this morning through his living word. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's possible, quite likely, that what God spoke to you through reading his word there is more meaningful and more powerful than anything else that I say right now. And it's quite possible and likely that what we just did there in 1 minute, 2 minutes, is a moment in our busy week where we just stopped and we focused, we chose to pay attention in all the voices that are speaking to us right now, that we listened to his voice and allowed him to speak. Some thoughts. Psalm 23 is written by King David. Many of us know this already. He himself, before he became the king of Israel, was a shepherd who tended and looked after sheep. He knew what it was like to be with them, to provide for them, to take them to where there was grass to eat, to take them to rivers to drink from, to look after them when they were poorly or injured, and to protect them when wild animals would come to threaten their very lives. Would have used his crook, his rod, or his staff to protect. And this morning, what I want to do, quite briefly actually, I've not loads of content, is instead of kind of unpack some of my own best thoughts or my best reading, is completely plagiarize and rip off Dr. Glenn Packiam from Rock Harbour Church, mixed with some insight from Dr. April Joy, who is a clinical psychologist. Two wonderful things that my good wife Chantel forwarded to me. Some great insight in this, so here goes. Firstly, life is full of gardens and valleys. Or perhaps, put differently, mountain tops and valleys and everything in between. And Psalm 23 is often read at the gravesides. It's because of verse 4, which reads, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me." Older versions of the NIV and some translations still today have the words, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." But this psalm was not just written for the end of our lives. It was actually written for all of our lives, right the way until the very end. Notice the movement as we read it through, the different places, from green pastures and quiet waters, to times in our life where we experience dark valleys and deadly threats. We see this picture of a table, a feast, a meal presented to us in the presence of our enemies, right the way through to the end of life, when finally a home with God forever and ever is prepared for us. The progression of the psalm mirrors our life throughout our lives. Cycles of security, moments of disruption, mixed with renewal, moments of peace, times of turmoil, and restoration. Life as we know it is not this linear experience where we begin here and we end there and we follow a certain pattern. Rather, we have our ups and we have our downs. We have our highs and lows, our storms and celebrations. We have moments of certainty and uncertainty. We have periods of with or without. But we look to the Psalms, the book of Psalms, for hope, for peace, for comfort. When we entitled this series Living Well, it wasn't with this quest to finding the magic secret to having a life full of peace and tranquility and harmony, because we know, don't we, that life is not like that. In fact, if we're really honest, life often is much harder than it is easy. We actually experience probably more hardship than we do celebrations. And it is actually the mountaintop moments of incredible days like a wedding or a baptism or the birth of a child or whatever it might be. These are these wonderful celebratory moments. But let's be honest, we spend most of our time and most of our life in the valley or just slightly above it. And these psalms were written from a place of pain, from a place of persecution, from a place of lament, by people like us that experience the difficulty of life in a way that points us towards Him, because He is the one who sustains. He is the one. He is the good shepherd. And David was able to write, "I lack nothing. I shall not want." Everything that we have is found in Him. But let's be honest. Many of us don't go to the Good Shepherd, do we? Or we don't go to Him first. We might go to Him after a while when everything else that we try, which I'm going to say in a minute, doesn't work. We go elsewhere. We look elsewhere. We do elsewhere. Especially when it comes to the difficult things in our lives, external things that are happening in our world that we seek to control or manage or manipulate. But we just can't do that. We try to. Our internal world of fear and anxiety and guilt and shame, unworthiness. We seek to self-medicate, to distract ourselves. We get busy, we stay busy, we seek pleasure, we seek comfort. And Psalm 23 is, if it was rewritten into our modern era, it might read something along these lines. The screen is my shepherd. There is so much I want. It makes me lie awake past midnight. It leads me beside endless reels and video shorts. It fills my soul with anxiety. It guides me to more clicks for its metrics' sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of doom scrolling, I will fear no boredom, for the algorithm is with me. Notifications and noise, they distract me. You prepare the next episode in the presence of my responsibilities. You spike my brain with dopamine. My screen time runs over. Surely my metadata will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the cloud forever. We know deep down, don't we, that our phones will never quench the thirst of our souls. We know deep down that having a spouse, or if we're already married, our spouse will never fully satisfy the longings for being loved. We know that no amount of riches or recognition will give us the security or validation. We know that no amount of worrying or distraction will provide the peace that we long for. And this and more is found in our shepherd, the shepherd who is present and walks with us. Now, shepherd is one of the metaphors that we find throughout the Old Testament. Shepherds lived their lives with their sheep, guiding them, taking them to food and water, protecting them, warding off predators. They were leader, physician, and protector all at once. And because of this, the word shepherd was used as a metaphor to describe Israel's leaders. And yet Israel's leaders did not act like a good shepherd. The prophet Ezekiel delivers a scathing word from God against Israel's shepherds because they fed themselves. They protected themselves, and when difficulty came, they just ran away. And through Ezekiel, spoke of a shepherd that would come one day, promises personally a true shepherd of Israel. And so centuries later, Jesus stands in front of Israel's shepherds. And to them, to that crowd, speaks these words. He says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Others may have failed you, hurt you, abandoned you. Our screens might have provided some degree of whatever we've been looking for and everything else that we've spoken about. Jesus is our shepherd, the good shepherd. That seems nice, doesn't it? It's all stuff perhaps we've known before or heard before. What does it actually mean? It means that we can trust him fully instead of others. It means that we can and should go to him instead of confiding in ChatGPT. Did I say that right? I always say B, not P. T. He gives us what we need. He provides for us. What does it actually mean? Let's just take a minute. If we use anxiety, it's been labeled as a national epidemic. I've shared honestly and openly before, it's my thing. It's been my thing. Not that I'm proud of that. It's not like a badge or anything. But it's something that I have suffered from and still do for many years. And if we take that one, there's ways that I have tried to manage that through seeking reassurance from others. And there's a degree of that's quite a good thing. You know, to talk is a good thing. I'm not saying that that's a bad one. But when I replace that and constantly keep going to people to seek reassurance, that's not going to keep giving me the peace that I'm looking for. Could be a number of other things which I'm not going to get into or we've not time for this morning. But often what it means to come to the Good Shepherd, if we truly have all that we need, if he truly provides green pastures and living water, if I use the unpleasant feeling and emotion and thinking of anxiety, it means that we go to the Good Shepherd literally with that thing. And you translate it for whatever it is for you. It could be depression, it could be guilt, it could be unworthiness, it could be all those things, right? Whatever your thing is. If the Good Shepherd is who he is, and he truly provides for us all that we need, we can go to him with that very thing. And so in my better moments, when I don't do all the things that kind of give me a little bit of comfort and a little bit of peace, when I've tried all those usually, I have these better moments when I literally sit in the unpleasant feeling of anxiety with him. And I simply pray it through with him. Jesus, I give you this. I give you this. Come to me. Come and fill me. Only peace comes from you. We've prayed that prayer many times before. I give you everyone and everything. That simple few words, prayer. I give it to you. I give it to you. I entrust it to you. And I sit feeling rotten, feeling uncomfortable. And there are moments that I really experience his comfort and I experience his peace. And there are often times when I don't. But I nonetheless choose in those better moments to go to him with it. I give it to you. I give it to you. And that's an invitation. And here's another invitation. Found in verse 5, we read this: you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. If we stick with this same thing of anxiety, anxiety doesn't just stay in the mind, it shows up in our bodies. Sweaty palms, accelerated heart rate and breathing rate, knot in your stomach, tense shoulders. I tend to feel it in my shoulders and in my chest. It's where it shows up. This general feeling of unease, and it stays with us. But back to the table, because Jesus prepares a table for us. The table is a place where people are welcomed, they're cared for, kept safe. Much like a table today, a place of welcome, a place to sit and just be yourself. Last night, a friend of mine, his wife and their 2 grown-up children invited the 2 of us. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Lovely sunshine, having a barbecue. Would you like to come round? Yes, please. It's lovely to be invited. And we went round and the table was prepared. Everything was on the table, ready to go. My friend was at the barbecue, doing the burgers, doing the sausages. We came, we sat, we were welcomed, drinks provided. A lot happens around the table. A lot that is good happens around the table. But in this psalm, we read something really interesting. It's where the table is set. The table is set not with your friends. It's set in the presence of our enemies. Right in the middle of it. And it's there that God wants to meet us, in the presence of our enemies. Now, it could be literally in the presence of our enemies. But again, it's usually metaphor. And we could use the metaphor of enemies to relate to our circumstance or emotions that come from the enemy. Ones that I've mentioned already this morning. God invites us to sit at that table so that we don't have to necessarily go to a table when it's all peaceful and all calm and we've got all our ducks in a row and we all feel great. Jesus, the Good Shepherd, leads us and invites us to this table that he has prepared in the presence of our depression, in the presence of our overwhelmed feelings, in the presence of the circumstance that we find our lives in, that we cannot change, that we cannot do anything about. There is a table set for you in that place. And Jesus, the Good Shepherd, is leading you and inviting you to sit at that table, regardless of everything else that's going on around you. And he wants to meet with you. Why? Because he is present. He is present. We live our lives in these places of the valley, but the Good Shepherd is with us. And he invites to journey alongside with us because Jesus is always making a way. Jesus himself faced all manner of opposites to the things that are promised in this psalm. Instead of green pastures to lie down in, Jesus said, the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Instead of quiet waters, Jesus walked on stormy seas and calmed waves that threatened to sink his friends. Instead of walking through the valley of the shadow of death, Jesus walked up the hill of death to the place of skull. He did not pass by death. He went straight into it. Instead of a table prepared before his enemies, Jesus shares a table with his enemies. One of them left the meal to go betray him. Instead of his head being anointed with the oil of blessing, it was crowned with suffering. His cup did run over, but it was not the cup of joy and gladness, the cup of judgment and wrath, the cup that he begged his Father to take away, but he drank it to the bitter end. He knew, our Jesus, our Good Shepherd, knows everything that we experience. We encounter. He has been and has experienced all of those things. Right to the end. Your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. His goodness, his mercy, his presence is with us. He is with us. But he invites us, and he invites us to the table. And it's set there, despite our circumstances, despite the seasons of our soul that we experience. But it's our choice to take a seat at his table. It's our choice to go sit there and be with him at that table or not. Amen.
Thanks for listening to the Carrickfergus Vineyard podcast. If you'd like to find out more about our church, please visit our website, carrickfergusvineyard.org.